Yeah, this is a little bit about my team. And I can remember, I live here in San Diego. I've lived here for 3 years. I live in Coronado Island, and I run like an $80 million team in Arizona. And I can remember in 2011, sitting in a room like this, even bigger. It was the first coaching event I had ever been to. It was a Craig Proctor coaching event. And I'm sitting in the audience, there's like 1,000 people there. And there's all these agents on stage talking about how they sell hundreds of houses and they make millions of dollars. And I believed it. I was like, I think it's legit. Like, I think these people are telling the truth. I thought the system would work. I believed that their ideas were smart. And I was so overwhelmed. I was like, how am I ever gonna do this? Like, how am I gonna take all these ideas, like all this stuff, like I had the secret kind of in front of me, and I didn't know what to do. So I'm just it's surreal to be here now and to think back to kind of that very first event. And this is kind of what life was like for me. It was like 2011, I was just getting married, and we were buying our first house, my wife and I had to borrow money for the down payment from my father-in-law, which is an awkward phone call to make. Hey, future dad, I'm sort of failing at life. Could you help me out with some money for the down payment? And oh, by the way, my credit is ruined because I had to short sell 7 houses that I bought foolishly in the rise of the economy. Anybody else make some dumb decisions in like 2005? So then the market crashes. I lose all the houses, went broke. And thankfully, if you're going to meet your spouse, a great time to meet them is at the bottom, because if they love you then they'll stick with you through the highs and lows. So thank God for my wife. So I was really at the bottom. I was working all the time. I was trying to sell houses, but was super, super overwhelmed and truly felt like a failure. I was embarrassed, ashamed, frustrated, and was starting to look for like a real job, right? I was like, this is not working. I had built a real estate investment company that had failed, lost everything. Now I'm trying to kind of start over the old fashioned way, selling houses to friends and family and trying to figure out like, how can I do this? I knew I needed help, but I was living in the reality of my past failures. So again, I'm sitting in this room, the answer before me, this coaching program, all this different stuff. And I was afraid to take the next step. I knew I needed help. I couldn't do this alone, but I was afraid to hire somebody because I had built a company before and had laid all those people off. That sucked. I was also just afraid in general of kind of my own failure, of doing things wrong again. And I remember, I'll never forget, I was driving along one day and my church had this program where you would disciple young people, right? So you'd kind of find a college kid who was a bozo and you'd go, hey, I'd like to help you not be so much of a bozo. And I'll tell you a little bit about Jesus. This will be great. And I'm thinking about who could I disciple? Who could I like mentor, And clear as day, I felt like the voice of God, honestly, say, you don't need to disciple somebody. You need to hire somebody. You're living in fear. You're living in the past regret of your previous failures, and I don't want you to do that anymore. I need you to take a step of faith and go hire somebody, because you're never going to have more influence over anybody in your life than you do over the people who work for you. And so don't stop living in fear and take a step of faith. And I think that message is for maybe some of you today, is that, okay, it's time to take the first step. It's time to hire that person, that very first person who's going to help you. Or maybe you've got a team and you've got all kinds of people, and I want to maybe help you kind of see a new light of a different way to hire, a different way to free up some time, some energy to implement some of the amazing ideas that you're learning today. So I realized there are a few greater ways to influence someone's life than to hire them. You just think about it. You get to spend all this time. You have all these amazing things inside of you, all this wonderful wisdom and the accumulated knowledge of the time and the ups and downs and the failures of your life. And to think about hiring, instead of from the perspective of what can I sort of get or how can this person help me, but from the perspective of I actually want to hire people, not only because I think it'll help me grow my business, but because I think I can actually benefit their life in some way. And to start to think about it in that way was truly a radical mindset shift for me. So I pushed through. Here's a screenshot. Recently, because I don't live in Arizona, we do everything on Zoom. This is my normal outfit here, my headset and that sweatshirt. And this is some of my team, the people who fit on the screen there. We've got 15 people. And you'll notice that some of them are in their random house in India or the Philippines. We've got people in California, in Arizona. So I've got truly an international team. I've got people in 3 different countries and 2 different states who all work for us. And these people, and one of them is in the room, Ashley, my assistant, so great to have you here. These people have changed my life forever. I am a better and bigger and more well-rounded person because of the influence that these people have on my life. I am so glad I made that first decision, that most scary decision. It gets easier as you go along. Hiring people now, no big deal. But the first one's terrifying. And so I'm so glad I pushed through. I'm so glad that I now have this wonderful group of people who help me sell hundreds of houses a year in a state that I don't live in. So imagine if I had never taken the first step, right? I'm so thankful I did. So here's what I want to talk about today. I think that you could potentially make your first hire like tomorrow. And I think a great way to start is with an overseas virtual assistant. So a couple benefits of hiring somebody overseas. So we can hire somebody in California, but like we were talking about earlier, you got to pay them like 500 grand a year just to get groceries, right? So that's expensive. So maybe we can hire someone in a country that's much less expensive, like India or the Philippines, where you can pay far less. You can get someone to help you full time and provide a great life for them, because it's not that you're just underpaying these people. It's that it's much cheaper, it turns out, to live in the Philippines than it is to live in California. So it's affordable, it's scalable. This is something you can do for your very first time, and this is something that's, the question is what's working in your business. What's working is I can run a company from a different state, right? That's the big picture here. And I'm proposing that this is a good place to start, and that I'm glad we started this way. So it's scalable. It works for big teams like mine. I have 6 people overseas, or it could work as your very first hire. And then I'll talk about more specifics to come. So I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of how to recruit, hire, and train a virtual assistant. I've got like a cheat sheet. I'll give you the URL for that tells you exactly how to do it. I've got videos on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, explaining how to create a job description, how to market, how to train, all that stuff. I'll give you that later. But what I'm trying to do now is sell you on this idea. I'm trying to get you over the chicken line that I was on, in 2011, that I'm so thankful I pushed past. So I'm going to try to sell you on this idea. Helps you become a better person, dramatically improves the quality of life for not only you, but your virtual assistant. I think there's this weird idea. We get caught up on this thing in America of like, we're going to keep the jobs in America. Like, since when are people not in America not people? Like, come on. Like, why don't we want to provide great jobs and a great living for people like all over the world? Like, I'm patriotic, all that, my family, military family, all that stuff. But I think that's a closed-minded, narrow mindset. I want to, as much as possible, benefit literally the whole world. And so it's not only has this affected my life and made my life so much better, that it's made the lives of the folks that who work for us much better too. So I'll explain some of that story too. So here's Shiva. He's one of my virtual assistants. He lives in India. And I want to tell you a little bit about what he does, but let me tell you real quickly his story. So Shiva, when I met him 3 years ago, was commuting 4 hours a day to work on the bus system in India. That's a bad commute. That's worse than San Diego. 4 hours a day. Shiva was suffering from epileptic seizures. He was sleeping so poorly and suffers from epilepsy. So he weekly was having debilitating seizures, having to go home, couldn't complete work. He was really losing his life in many ways. And his life was going downhill quickly. He couldn't afford to pay the bills because they keep sending him home from work. He's working in a terrible life environment. And I hire him and put him to work in his house. So his commute is 0 minutes a day. So we save Shiva about 4 to 5, 20 hours a week. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty great. I'm really proud of the fact that the job I provided for Shiva saves him 20 hours a week. He's had in the last 3 years, 2 epileptic seizures in 3 years, as opposed to 1 every couple weeks, right? I'm changing his life. Like, this is the deal. Like, this is what it's all about. This is why you were put here, is to not just enjoy the wonderful comforts of life we get to have here in America, but to provide those things for people all across the world. I'm very proud that I get to be a part of that. And he loves his work at the Glutch Group, and he's a huge part. He's just a huge blessing to us. I'm so thankful for him. But let me get really practical. Here's some of the stuff that he and the other people do on our team. Here's what you can do. So this is a calendar screenshot I took of Garrett. Garrett's one of my outside sales guys. I sold 300 houses. I didn't sell any houses. My team sold 300 houses last year with 3 sales guys. I have 3 agents. So that's 60 houses a guy? That's pretty good. How do you sell 60 houses a guy? Well, Shiva helps, right? That's why. So Shiva, now Garrett, this is a calendar update. He's going to show houses to Rachel, right? That's what Garrett was up to, whatever day this was, a couple days ago. And here's how this works. He's managing Garrett's email. So he's got the login, the whole thing. Garrett gets an email from Rachel, who wants to see a couple houses. Shiva gets the email, checks Garrett's calendar. Can Garrett show houses then? He sure can. That's great. Finds out here's the MLS numbers of the 2 houses that he needs to show. He gets to work, creates an appointment on the calendar for Garrett, and then does all this crap, right? You guys know what it takes to set up some showings. You got to call agents, and we've got details for the clients. When you sell 60 houses a year, that's a lot of people to keep track of. So what we do is we put all the notes. Okay, has this person gotten beat out on offers before? Are they frustrated? How are they doing in the home process? Garrett, they get to know people, of course, they have relationships with people, but this helps just give a lay of the land for like what's going on with this client. Then we get into the details about the houses. Here's all the remarks. Okay, you gotta have this gate code, and here's the address, and we confirmed you're good to go from 12 to 1220. And how many of you get on the street, you're gonna show 123 Main Street and all these houses, and the client goes, no, let's not see those, let's go see these other 3. That's awesome, right? Great, no problem. I'll just get out my laptop and make 48 phone calls and get 3 pissed at. What happens when that happens to Garrett? He says, no problem. Sends a text message to Shiva, he gets to work, right? So now Garrett's showing this house. Meanwhile, Shiva's behind the scenes over here, getting all the next showings set up. No problem, we can take care of that. Even better, Garrett's showing houses to, 10 people this week, right? So he's showing houses to Rachel. He gets to be really present with her and her husband, who are this is a big deal for them. He gets to be there fully present. He's not checking his email, his text message, none of that. Shiva's doing all that. Shiva gets a text message from some other client who wants to show houses, wants to see 2 houses, in 3 hours. You guys know it's a hot market. We can't wait till tomorrow to see, that's not gonna work. We gotta see those houses today. So Shiva on the back end sets up those showings. Garrett leaves this appointment an hour later, and he's got showings set up from someone he didn't even know he was showing houses to an hour ago, and it's all done. It's taken care of. He didn't even know he got an email, and it's all taken care of on the back end. And this, I'm just giving you one example of a million different things that folks can handle for you overseas. You don't have to have a license to do any of this. This is all unlicensed work. A couple systems. Anjali, we call her Julie. She's our virtual assistant in the Philippines who handles transaction coordinating. We got one transaction coordinator who handles 200 deals a year. That's pretty cool. Kudos to whoever it was over here that was being honored earlier. That transaction coordinator is a very hard job, deserving of a lot of honor. You take a lot of heat in that job. So, but you'll notice this is one of our checklists. We use a system called Asana. You gotta have some system to manage your task load every day, right? And it has to be a system that works all over the world, so it has to be cloud-based. Asana is the best one I found. I've looked at them all. For my money, Asana is the best. It's fantastic. So we have templates. Every time you sell a house, it's the same for us, 70 things that have to happen every time you sell a house. Here's an example of all the stuff that has to happen when we sell a house. This is like when a house goes pending, this is the transaction coordinators list. Look at how many of these things Julie does, like almost all of them. That's how Stephanie, our Arizona-based person, can do 200 a year, because Julie's doing a lot of the work. And so let me give you a couple examples of what Julie's up to. So this is an intro email to the listing agent. Hello, listing agent, congratulations. Blah, blah, blah. Can I get the contract? It's the same every time, right? Nothing different. You guys do the same stuff. You're sending the same email to the same title companies and this is all very repeatable, simple stuff that can fully be automated, can be put into a system and then assigned. And so now every time we sell a house, this checklist gets recreated with 2 clicks, and all these tasks get assigned to Julie, and she gets to work. No problemo. Gets that house sold, right? It's fantastic. Turn off MLS auto search. This is another simple example. You sell a house, 3, 4, 5 days, you don't want your client looking at all these new houses, right? You're lucky you got this house. Like, let's be happy, move on. So turn off the auto search, right? Let's just be done with that and buy ourselves a house, right? That's stuff you forget to do because you're busy selling houses. Julie doesn't ever forget to do it. That gets done 100%, no problemo. Okay, let me give you another example. This is gonna take some mind stretching. So you can push this. And what I just showed you are simple examples, but we have it now to where every offer we get on a house, we list, hundreds of houses a year. And we get a lot of offers. Sometimes you guys are getting 10, 12 offers on a house. That's crazy. How do you handle all that? Well, all of our offers go to Shiva in India. He gets the offers. He's responding to the offers. So they all come, hey, got it, great, got the offer, awesome. He's responding as our team member, We're not announcing to the buyer's agent, hey, this is Shiva in India responding. We're just saying, great, we got it. We got the offer. Then what does he do? All these tasks right here, which are summarizing the offer. So all the template stuff, here's what the price is. He's creating a net sheet. I'll give you an example of that. Here's how to create a net sheet. We created these little videos in Dropbox so that Shiva knows, now he can do it better than us, but knows how to create a net sheet, pull all the details out of that offer that are important, summarize it. We got a spreadsheet. If we got 5 or 6 offers, he puts them all so that we can give it to the client. Now he sends it to our agent because we don't want to just send it cold from an unlicensed person because what if we screw up? That's no good, right? So this is important stuff. So what he's doing is summarizing out of this 20-page document the most important stuff, sending it to my listing agent, Jeremy, who's then reviewing going, yep, that's all right. And then he forwards it to the client. Now the client has this beautifully manicured, simple, understandable explanation of what the offer's pros and cons are, and Jeremy spent 5 minutes on it, maybe. Think about how much time it takes you to sift through an offer and make sure the pre-qual's there. And not only that, Shiva will call every single offer we get. We've learned this from history. A lot of the offers we get, the people, they got a pre-qualification letter, but they're not really very well pre-qualified. So I called my lender and said, hey, what 5 questions should I be asking every lender who sends me a pre-qual? And he said, ask these. Did they pass desktop underwriter? Are they W-2? Are they blah, blah? So we have a checklist, and Shiva will call the listing. Some of these calls are amazing, but he'll call the listing or the lender for the buyer and ask these questions. And he's got an accent in the whole thing. And so people are super confused. They're like, I thought I wrote John Gletchen offer. Who am I talking to? This guy is like, hey, well, okay, is he pre-qual? Did he pass desktop underwriter? And he just summarizes the answers. He might have to call lender 4 or 5 times. That's better than Jeremy doing it because he's got 60 houses to sell this year. So that all gets summarized and gets put over into Jeremy's email. And Jeremy now knows, not only do we have this offer to summarize for the client, but we can tell the client, hey, we also called the lender and we're pretty sure this guy's actually really well qualified. He didn't just get a pre-qual. Like, he proved it. We've learned what questions to ask, and we asked that person the question. So this gives you an idea. And let me just give you a couple simple things and I'll wrap up. Here's some other things you do. They could screen your email, answer phones. So we have Ring Central. So all of my salespeople they use their cell phones, but they use a Ring Central app to make and receive phone calls. So it's all digital, so that let's say even better, they go on vacation for a week. They literally, they turn their phone off. Their clients cannot call them because it's all the messages and phone calls that are coming in are being received by Shiva because we turn the Ring Central phone on in his computer. Now he's getting them all, and he answers what he can, a lot of stuff he can't, and he asks one of the other agents on our team, hey, Brad's client needs this. I don't want to bother Brad. He's in Bermuda. So how can we help out? And literally Brad spends a week in Bermuda, does not answer a single phone call or a single email. How would that be? That's pretty cool, right? So that it requires, some work, some energy to get started on this. Then you can track everything. You would not believe, I kept asking questions about what are your conversion rates and all this stuff, right? It's because I track all that. I know all that stuff because we have people overseas helping us track these things. Inputting data, running Facebook ads. I mean, you can just go on and on this stuff. So lots of stuff they can do. Now, here you go, vacheatsheet.com, or you can go to John Gletch, this is my Instagram, or you can just go to johngletch.com, and I've got this, and then I've got a wow cheat sheet, which is what I talked about last time. So this will give you a PDF download, it's like 10 pages long, and it also links to YouTube videos where I try to walk through a bunch of this stuff too. You can ask me questions. I'm very tactile. I like the system, make it really doable, and I believe in this. Not only will this help your business, but honestly, for me, more importantly, I think that this has changed my life so much that I'm hoping to sell you guys on this idea so that it can benefit your life and benefit the lives of the people that you will hire down the road. There's an absolutely desperate need. Can I just be real with you about the world we live in right now, in particular real estate? It can become so adversarial. Like we get a deal with someone and now we're enemies and they're saying stuff to my transaction coordinator that you should just never say to somebody, like they're just being mean. And there's this thing where we're now not even treating each other like people. And so our mission at the Gletch Group is to humanize the real estate industry. So we're not just trying to humanize the transactions we get involved with. We want actually the whole industry to be transformed and to get to this place where we're treating each other like people again. And so I think it starts with the way we interact with each other, but it also is the way we create teams. Those of you who have it in you to hire people or to create teams, I need people like you who are people of honor, people who show up to an event like this to grow, to step up and go, because I can't hire everybody, So we need people like Zandra and Kyle, Dan, all these people to show up and build big teams, because now we have great cultures and environments for people to be a part of. So I hope I've encouraged you and inspired you today to take a step, get past the chicken line. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, we got time for one, and Mary's already claimed it, so.
What does your team in Arizona look like?
A lot of admins, so 3 salespeople. So because of that, we have 6 people overseas. We have 1 transaction coordinator in Arizona. We have 1 photographer, sign guy, gopher, who just does all the stuff that needs to get done to list houses. And we've got 1 office administrator who's really our WOW coordinator. And she is the one, you talked about surprising and delighting your clients. That's her mission statement, surprising and delighting our clients. So those are the people in Arizona, and then the sales guys. So great.
Since Dan just ran out of the room, we'll get one more real quick.
Yes.
Just yell it.
What company do you use to hire virtual assistants?
I don't. So, that's answered in the cheat sheet, but Upwork is a place you can find them. There's a bunch of virtual assistant Facebook groups, lots of them. But you got to be careful. There are lots of companies who suck at this, to be frank. You can use My Outdesk. They are the best by far that I've experienced. That's going to cost you more though, because they're going to pay half of what you pay them goes to the virtual assistant and half goes to My Outdesk. So you're paying double what you would pay if you found someone directly. So, but they're good. The people I've hired from My Outdesk have been good. So if you just don't want to do this, My Outdesk would be a good option for you. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thanks.